The travel ban finally went through. It's a 120-day ban on refugees. 120 days. That's 6 months. 6-month ban on all refugees, even if we're the ones who are bombing the country and they're trying to escape. We're like, nope. Qatar will take 54,000 Syrians into their country. Canada takes a bunch of refugees into their country, but not the U.S. We're bombing. Who are we bombing? Wait, we're funding al-Nusra, or we're against. What are we doing over? Syria does not pose a threat to us. So world hegemony, is that we're going for empire, right? World hegemony. 120 days, 6 months. 6 months that we're not going to accept any Anne Franks. So goodbye, Anne Frank. This is a major turning point in U.S. politics. The Democratic Party, as well as the American dream, is dead. Today was a major victory for President Batshit, the killer-in-chief, weasel-headed Cheeto face. The Supreme Court, one of the 3 branches of government, in a unanimous decision, decided not to check the executive branch, to give them unlimited powers. All 9 of them, including Ruth Bader Ginsburg, said it was okay to discriminate against foreign nationals, i.e. non-citizens, especially terrorists. Which, that's the right decision. That is the right decision. I find it hard to believe that we've been allowing all foreign nationals in no matter what. Hey, you're not from around here, are you? Well, come on in. You're not a citizen, are you? No? Well, why didn't you say so? Come right in. No matter if they're terrorists or not. No matter if they're terrorists or not, a foreigner is allowed to just come in this country, right? Just walk on in, like with their suitcase or with like a stick and get their clothes on their back, and we're just like, come on in, right? We're nice like that. We welcome all the Mexicans when they come in, the Cubans, the Haitians. We're just so welcoming, just like what the Statue of Liberty says. Give me your tired and your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. So, that's not how it is. It couldn't be like that. There's 19 9/11 hijackers. One of them had a student visa, 4 of them had business visas, and then 14 of them had a 6-month tourist visa. A tourist. I want to come over here and be a tourist. What do you want to do? A tour? I want to be on a tour and do some isting, just look at shit and be like, whoa, look at that. Maybe take a picture or 2, for 6 months. That's suspicious, isn't it? What? You're not going to get a job? No. You're not going to go to school or do, what do you mean you're just going to look at shit? Yep. No business, nope. Not going to get a job or contribute to society, not going to be a doctor, just looking. Mm-hmm. Yep. So those 6-month tourist visas, I think we should take another look at, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I wonder if Trump would let the terrorists that he supports in Yemen and al-Nusra in Syria in. It's weird how we're fighting against terrorists, but we're also giving them weapons. So talking about cutting off your nose in spite of your face. Bill Hicks actually said something about this, like in Shane, where he throws the gun, he's like, pick up the gun. No, mister, I really don't want to. And then as soon as he picks up the gun, he gets blown away. So, Donald Trump, today was a good day for him. Or yesterday was. Today's a new day. He is fucking up, consistently every day, but today he did not. He didn't fuck up. The Supreme Court accepted his polished version. He had 2 versions of this bill, of this executive order. Not even a bill, right? Congress ain't doing shit. They don't do shit. Congress doesn't check them. The judicial doesn't check them. Executive does as the fuck as he pleases. So, there's 2 bills. The first one got knocked down and they had all this other reason. And the second one was the politically correct version. That's what he called it. The politically correct one. The numbers was 13,769. That's the first one. And then the second one was 13,780. So does that mean 11 executive orders later? He wrote 10 executive orders in between the first and second of these travel bans. So he finally got to, 6 countries: Libya, Syria, Yemen, Somalia, Sudan, and Iran. Nobody can go to those countries. I guess you could go to those countries, but you can't come back because there's a travel ban. There's a travel ban to those countries. I think it was a Muslim ban. These are Muslim majority countries, but not all Muslim majority countries are in on this. I want to say Malaysia, Indonesia, I don't know enough actually, Muslim majority countries that are out there. Turkey, maybe. So Libya, which Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama overthrew Libya. Gaddafi is dead. He had a gun shoved up his ass or a knife or something, and horrible death, all captured on videotape, right? Just like Saddam being hung. But that was on a cell phone. But basically kind of the same chaotic bullshit. Libya's overthrown, and now it's just a terrorist haven. Lots of human trafficking. Lots of terrorists are coming out of Libya. Syria, which we're invading Syria too. So we're just bombing the hospitals and schools over in Syria. Raqqa, right? We're going after the families and the civilians, the people. So whoever is in favor of ISIS, which sometimes in Syria, didn't we give weapons to ISIS? I don't know. Russia said something about that. But Muslim travel ban affects 6 countries: Libya, Syria, Yemen. 10,000 people are dead in Yemen. There's half the country's almost starving. There's a humanitarian crisis. So that's where the first airstrike and the first ground strike, which killed that 8-year-old girl, Nora, where she got shot in the neck and then she bled out for 2 hours and then she eventually died. An American citizen. So Donald Trump ordered a hit on an American citizen who was in Yemen, and I think that her, brother or father or something were known terrorists. So he was being serious about, killing the families of terrorists, including an 8-year-old girl. What the fuck could an 8-year-old girl do? Change the world? Maybe. That's what Israel did with Rachel Corrie. Just rode right over Rachel Corrie like she wasn't shit. So, Libya, Syria, Yemen, Somalia. There was that Kyle Milliken that we just found a dead U.S. SEAL. And now all of a sudden we found out there's like 200 to 300 deployments here in Somalia. And Somalia's fucked. There's no water. There's a huge drought that's going on. Somalia is that corner of Africa. And then on that corner of Africa, on that top portion, that's called Somaliland. That's its own country. Nobody control. Somebody just said this is Somaliland. So Somalia is already fucking broken up. It's already broken up. So there's Somaliland, and then there's this, I guess, disputed territory. Ethiopia has the government of Somalia. The Ethiopia is back, and the government of Somalia in the very middle. So they're like the legitimate government, the United Nations or America or whoever the fuck is establishing this shit. And then there's the administrative branch is on top. So they kind of got the, not the north, not that, corner little dog leg, but the northern part of that last, south sort of slanted border is. So on the bottom, that's where your Al-Shabaab is. So, for some reason, Al-Shabaab is our enemies. We hate Al-Shabaab when we're killing a lot of Al-Shabaab people, and there are military bases in Somalia. There's military bases all across Africa, 20 or 30, shadow African wars, Cameroon, Chad, Nigeria. Just basically it's easier to name countries that don't have any. I don't think Morocco, I have not heard about any bases being in Morocco. So, it's easier to say what countries in Africa we're not a part of. So, in Somalia, Sudan, Iran, Sudan, that's where the Al-Shifa plant, tens of thousands of Sudanese were killed when Bill Clinton had to admit that he did, in fact, have a relationship with Monica Lewinsky. 3 days later, he's dropping a bomb on Afghanistan and on Sudan, blowing up a pharmaceutical factory which provided medicine, much necessary needed medicine, I think for like malaria, something that caused lots of deaths. So the initial attack killed like a couple janitors maybe, but overall it killed tens of thousands of people because of all the people, all the Sudanese who were dependent upon that medicine in order to live. Yeah, so those are the countries, the 6 countries that we're basically at war with, and then Iran. Why are we at war with Iran? Why are we at war with Iran? What's the beef? Oh, the nuclear weapons. They want to get a nuke. They've been fucking peaceful. I haven't heard about Iran invading anybody or really fucking up or doing anything. They talk tough, but I don't know. So, Libya, Syria, Yemen, Somalia, Sudan, and Iran, those are the 6 countries that's now on the list. Iraq was taken off the list. This is, like I said, the second executive order, the politically correct one. The first one he issued right away, that in March he rewrote it so to make it better, more, constitutional. So, Executive Order 13780 is a go. We're allowed to discriminate. No more flights to Syria, Libya, Yemen, Somalia, Sudan, or Iran. No more refugees. Nobody coming back from those countries since we've devastated them and created, a quagmire, a hellstorm, a tsunami of chaos and insanity into those countries. Now we're saying that, well, one of those, terrorists that had newly created terrorists, well, we don't want them to come over here. Right? We don't want to take the sons and daughters of Syria. Hell, they might be pissed off at what the fuck we're doing in that country. The sons and daughters of Yemen, we can't save the sons and daughters of Yemen. I mean, if we did that, then, we might be good humanitarians. We would be good fucking people. Anne Frank tried to get in. The Otto Van Frank, they applied to it and then they got rejected. I haven't heard there was a boat of Jews that, came over here, but they're like, nah, get the fuck on. What happened to them? They all got holocausted. So good job, America. Did they know anybody? So all their descendants, how are they going to feel about that? There's no fucking way they liked us doing that to them. Would you appreciate that? Especially if you're the one that's devastating the country. In some respects, it's okay. It's not okay. But it was like, well, you're German, you're in that country. What did the U.S. have to do with what was going on in Germany? But with the Syrians, just like in Honduras and Haiti and, I was going to say Cuba, but maybe not so much Cuba. But we do this in a lot of countries. So Syria specifically, Yemen, there's a humanitarian crisis. We got a blockade that's going on there. Syria, fuck, that is a crazy ass. Sudan, there's some kind of civil war. I think we're in South Sudan now. Iran, we keep fuck with them. Somalia, there's a huge drought, and then it's not a global jihad as it's national politics. So in order to understand Somalia, you really got to know who's on what side, who's on this. They want to say Al-Shabaab is Al-Qaeda, but then I heard that Al-Shabaab and Al-Qaeda got a divorce. And just like a lot of Al-Nusra, I heard Al-Nusra and Al-Qaeda got a divorce, but then there are still some connections, there are still links between them. And Russia says that we're financing Al-Nusra, which it means we're in breach of the 2001 authority right? The authority to use military force. Only going after the perpetrators of 9/11, i.e. Al-Qaeda, and anybody that supported Al-Qaeda. Well, if we're putting in hands and, weapons in the hands of ISIS and of Al-Nusra and of Al-Qaeda, then that would mean that 2001 authorization to use military force, they would use it against a citizen. If a citizen armed a terrorist, the citizen would go to jail. But when the government does it, they're like being fucking strategic about it. And who's actually making these decisions? I mean, all 435 House of Reps are just the leadership, just the top, banana of each house. So let's just get through this, okay? I feel like a draconian teacher. I got all this material I want to tell you about. 3 conservatives would let the ban go as originally written. Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch. So Neil Gorsuch and Clarice Thomas, Samuel Alito. They're the 3 horsemen of the apocalypse. So beware of a dark horse. 3 Democrats in the U.S. Senate: Joe Donnelly of Indiana, Heidi Heitkamp of North Dakota, and Joe Manchin of West Virginia. Once again, fake-ass fucking Democrats. Basically, Republicans in Democratic clothing broke ranks with their party this afternoon to join Republicans in voting to confirm Neil Gorsuch. Not this afternoon, but that afternoon that this sentence was printed to the Supreme Court. So who voted for Neil Gorsuch? Oh yeah, Joe Manchin, Heidi Heitkamp, and Joe Donnelly. So fuck you, West Virginia. Fuck you, North Dakota. And fuck you, Indiana. You red state, disease, fucking ridden white supremacist motherfuckers. God damn it. You voted for Gorsuch? So Gorsuch is now fucking, everything that the Supreme Court votes on, you could say you did that, Joe Donnelly. Good for you, Joe Donnelly. Heidi Heitkamp, Joe Manchin. Fuck West Virginia, North Dakota, and Indiana. That makes me skeptical of all their political leadership. These fucking red states are producing shitty Democrats. These are the reasons why Democrats fucking lose. Because they pick Republicans who don't mind breaking ranks. It's not about a partisan thing. It's about whether it's right or wrong. So the Stop Arming Terrorist Act is right. So if you're against it, you're just a shitty, unprincipled piece of shit. You're going against the 2001 authorization to use military force. Essentially, you're saying that the U.S. military could do anything and everything as they please. They're going to govern themselves. They got their own internal investigations with military court and all this other shit. And yet you throw the heroes in jail. You're going to go after your Snowdens and your whistleblowers and throw them in jail for fucking years, right? And the good ones. So if you're going to go after the good ones, is it safe to assume that most of them aren't good? They're just following orders, doing as the fuck as, all these different countries. I want to see every single mission. What the fuck are we doing in Cameroon? No, why are we in Cameroon? No, I want to know. Nah, tell me. You want to tell me that there's only one base in Djibouti? Only in Djibouti. That's the only fucking place in Africa that the U.S. has a military base. Bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. So, they split the baby, right? They cut it in half. It's a stay upon a stay. They're making everybody wait until October. So in October, they're going to actually debate the merits of the case. But for right now, they said that the main components, the only exceptions, so the main components of the ban is good. For 6 months, there's a 120-day ban on refugees, and then there's a 90-day ban on those 6 countries that I just mentioned. Iran, Libya, Sudan, Somalia, Yemen, Syria. So, Libya, Syria, Yemen, Somalia, Sudan, Iran. So all those countries, there's a 90-day ban. And the fucked up thing is, if the 90-day ban had been put into effect the moment that Trump wanted it, it already would have been over by now. So now the clock is ticking on the 90-day ban, and it's going to happen in 3 days. Trump is going to enforce this in 3 days. So in 3 days, expect everything to change. No, mostly just immigration. But this fucking ban, it's a big change. It's a shock. So Naomi Klein says, don't just say no, right? And I don't even think it's just resist. It's fight and overcome. Resisting is, like, no, I don't want to. It doesn't necessarily stop what's going on. So, and sometimes the machine just needs to be stopped. You got to throw yourself upon the gears and the wheels and the levers, and you got to make it stop. And you got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who control it, that unless you're free, you're going to prevent the machine from running at all. So, this is the politically correct version, right? So, Iraq, we're still accepting Iraqi refugees, which Obama didn't even do. Obama didn't want Iraqi refugees, right? We bombed the fucking country, killed 1 million Iraqi people. They need to go somewhere. Hey, can we come to the U.S.? No, one of you might be a terrorist. Why would you assume that? Well, we were killing a bunch of you. So, you had to be pissed about that, right? You don't like that. We're occupying your country. We've taken over your country. And we're dictating, how you should live. So, there's a couple reasons there why you might not like us. So, the 90-day ban begins in 3 days. That's what old ferret head fucking Cheeto face said. He got a unanimous decision. All 9 justices agreed to let the key provisions stay, and they're going to discuss those prior relationships. So, they basically said if there's bona fide relationships, right? Bona fide. You ain't bona fide. He's a suitor. So bona fide relationships, such as getting a job at a university, you have a relative, or there's a speaking tour. If you're giving a lecture, you can come over here and lecture us. So bona fide relationships with U.S. citizens, those people from those countries can still come in. So Libya, Syria, Yemen, Somalia, Sudan, and Iran can still come in if they had a prior relationship. So most of the people, that means all the countries are going to have to get vetted. But if you are able to prove at the consulate, at the U.S. Embassy, that you have a job, university, relative, or you have a speaking engagement here in the U.S., and you're from Iran, Sudan, Somalia, Yemen, Syria, or Libya, then you're able to come here. For Anne Franks, the Frank family doesn't know anybody in the U.S., so this still leaves the Franks there. But anybody with a prior relationship, so if you've worked in the U.S. before, or came to school here, or you're related to somebody, or you have a speaking engagement. So, we're radicalizing all these damn countries, and then when the good ones want to run away so they don't become fucking violent, either in defense of themselves or with them, then we don't give them a way out. And I don't know. I think that we can be a more compassionate society. We don't even give a shit about our own here, the homeless and shit. So basically, if you invite more people into the U.S., capitalist U.S., they will probably go straight to being homeless, and then they're begging on the streets, right? And who's going to give a shit about them then? So he said he'll easily win in Supreme Court since he got all 9 justices to agree with the key provisions, which seem non-controversial. I got a moth in here. But they're non-controversial, right? You're having foreign nationals. They're not citizens. They can't just come into this country whenever the fuck they feel like it. And if they're terrorists, there's a lot of terrorists in these countries. But my point is that our foreign policy creates the terrorist. And so if Tucker Carlson is willing to admit that our foreign policy is making the situation worse, then I can admit that there's dangerous people in these areas. So it seems, it's not against specifically Muslims, but the Muslim nations that we're at war with. And if anything, maybe that it's better. It defines where the fuck we're at. At least people know we're in Sudan, Somalia, Yemen, Syria, and Libya. So we're in at least 6 wars, right? 6, Iraq, 2, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Cameroon, Chad, Nigeria, Congo. Okay, so there's a little bit, couple more wars there, and then we got military deployments, like fucking thousands of military deployments all over the place. All over the place. So, and then the rest is going to be discussed in October. So those relationships, can you ban, the relatives or those with a job at university or speaking tours? Probably. You probably could ban everything. And they're saying he's a war president in terms of national security. This is right up his fucking alley. It's bullshit. I hate Trump and fuck him. So I don't want this shit to get passed. This isn't the direction I want the country to go in. Even if I don't give a shit about religion, and it's not just, Muslims, it's Jews, Christianity, Buddhist. You believe in God? Oh, okay. Do you believe in logic? What about reality? Logic, reality, you're rational? Like you're logical and you believe in evidence? You observe things and then experiment, find routines, find patterns. Is that what you do? Or is that, you just leave all that to God? Which one is it? So, in practical terms, well, I guess I'll actually end it off with this. 9/11 hijackers, those were the 19 people, the official story, who flew into the World Trade Center buildings on 9/11 in 2001, 16 years ago. 15 of them were Saudi Arabia. 2 of them were United Arab Emirates. And then 1 of them was Lebanon. And then 1 of them was Egyptian, which was the leader. He was the ringleader, was an Egyptian. So Egypt created one of the 9/11 terrorists. Lebanon created one of the 9/11 terrorists. 2 of the 9/11 terrorists came out of the United Arab Emirates. The United Arab Emirates, who now is back in that boycott against Qatar. Egypt, which is also back in the boycott against Qatar. And 15 of them came from Saudi Arabia. Our best fucking friend. We just give them a $120 billion deal. And they were not allowed to sue them because apparently the fucking officials financed the 9/11 terrorists. And we don't want to sue people over international, even if they were responsible. Are you fucking kidding? Are you kidding? We're not doing the original mission. 2001 authority to use military force. We're not going after Al-Qaeda. We're not going after their affiliates. We're not going after those who sponsored them, who sheltered them, who financed them. We're going after every other motherfucker out of here. What is our plan? What is our mission? What the fuck are we doing in all these countries? And why is it a secret? Why is it being kept from us? And why hasn't Congress declared it? So all this, you want to go back to the Constitution. I have no confidence in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court basically said, yeah, Donald, you basically could do most of it. We'll talk about it later, but, for the most part, yeah, do as the fuck as you please. So they settled it, right? They stepped up and they made a fucking decision, so I guess that should be good. But it's Gorsuch who just he would suck Trump's dick, right? Probably did. That's probably how he got the job. So, of course, he's going to agree with everything. That's why Trump put him in there, right? Hey, Gorsuch, you're going to stay loyal to me and you're going to let me do as the fuck as I please? Yeah, of course, man. Basically, if you're president, it's not illegal. Yeah, man, of course. Okay, here, Gorsuch, let's get him in there. Let's get Gorsuch in there. So, fucking Samuel Alito, Clarence Thomas, Neil Gorsuch. I like saying Gorsuch. That's how it's pronounced. Gorsuch. A dick. God, Neil is such a dick. Gorsuch a dick. So, Gorsuch, Samuel Alito, Clarence Thomas, or somebody said they're the three horsemen of the apocalypse. They are. They said that they would have let the ban go on as originally written. The first version. The politically incorrect one. Oh, you want to ban everybody and anybody and all Muslims and whoever the fuck who Donald Trump doesn't find pretty. You're not pretty enough to get in here. That's alright. This is for national security. And then what's the extent? What's the limit to national security? When do you say stop? Ronald Reagan fired the air traffic controllers over national security. They were on strike. They were in a stressful job. They wanted a little bit more money. But, you're stopping air travel all across the United States. National security, you're all fired. You can't fire us. You should help us. You should be in favor of the fucking union. You should order the damn owners to pay you the fucking quarter raise that they deserved. Oh, Reagan. Reagan. What are we going to do with you? So, essentially, all other foreign nationals are subject to the provisions of Air, Dandruff, and Queef's executive order. You have to have a bona fide relationship. Well, you're not bona fide. You're not bona fide. He's a suitor. So, last point, I swear. Yeah, so Donald Trump's getting a lot of fucking shit accomplished, didn't he? Gorsuch is the fucking thing. He's making decisions. Travel bans going through. You got, Supreme Court justice in there when they obstructed Obama from doing it. Fucking Democrats broke ranks. I think they would have had a simple majority for that anyways. So it's not the Democrats' fault, but it could have been. That could have been the thing that turned the tide, and then all the Republicans, well, shit. Democrats are very not have to get on board, even if they were against it. So, Donald Trump is getting some shit done. He signed all these, 10,000 executive orders. Personally, I don't think that they have any legal teeth whatsoever unless Congress fails. If Congress doesn't pass any immigration legislation, if they don't pass any war measures, Congress isn't doing a fucking thing. They're not doing any of what they're supposed to be doing at all. Congress has a shit ton of power. Congress has war powers and the declaration of war powers and the war, the taxing power. They can essentially do as the fuck as they please. They're the representative body for the people, right? That's the legislative branch, the ones who write the rules. So, the executive orders will only go in play if Congress doesn't do their duty. If Congress doesn't step up and pass something else, which are a bunch of Republicans anyways, but Democrats could be, like Tulsi Gabbard, putting out these common sense fucking bills. And watch the Republicans vote against every single one of them. Put up the single payer one. Put up the stop arming terrorists. How come over 400 of our U.S. House of Representatives are in favor of arming the terrorists? Why are we in favor of arming terrorists? We're breaking the 2001 authority to use military force, for one. Every single one of the Colorado House of Representatives are also not endorsing Tulsi Gabbard's Stop Arming Terrorists. Why not? What the fuck? It's 30 minutes now. I hope this uploads. It's been doing a good job, so YouTube, thank you for being a friend. Thank you for... Oh, the Democrats who picked Hillary Clinton, it's your fucking fault. It's your fucking fault that we got Trump. It's your fucking fault that she lost. Hillary Clinton was a fucking loser. She was a right-wing fucking Republican. She was a warmonger corporatist. She wasn't progressive in any such... No fucking way. You all fucked us. Those who supported Hillary Clinton herself, and those supported Hillary Clinton are the ones who fucked us. So Bill Maher, pull your head out of your fucking ass. And you're the one that's got to learn for the next time. You got 3 years to pick a good ass fucking candidate. 3 years. Can you do that out of what? 100 fucking million people? Can you find one good ass candidate that's not a Republican, that has their own democratic liberal fucking values? Can you pick one? Fuck.